Yeah, there was a couple of races where I performed better than I have before in terms of like performance data, and I think I took that as like a big step up in terms of I'm achieving better in terms of data, but the results I still haven't won a world title, so I think that I keep coming back to that, and that still drives me. But yeah, I think consistency is great, but it's not winning. So I at the time was really happy, and now I'm motivated for more. Kat Matthews from Great Britain. I do IRONMAN triathlon, and I am a raw athlete. So 2024 I think was a really successful season. I was pretty brave, I think, at the start. I decided to do the T100 series and the IRONMAN Pro Series, both new that year, and it was sort of unknown whether I'd be able to do both of them. My key focus was to win the IRONMAN World Championships, to do the Pro Series, and then to also attend the T100 races. So I didn't manage to achieve my main goal. I came second in the World Champs in Nice, but I did win the Pro Series, and I was really happy with fourth in the T100 series. So I think it meant that I had sort of solidified myself as a professional athlete, fourth in the world, and second at both the Ironman and the Ironman 7.3 World Champs again. So it was really successful, but I feel like it didn't necessarily step me up in terms of where I want to be, and I want to be winning that world title. I think specific challenges are often in the form of injuries for athletes, and I feel like I've had my fair share for the last few years of being in professional sport. Just last season I had a significant calf tear that came out of nowhere, and I really struggled with that emotionally actually. The rehab itself I took on as a bit of a passion project with my degree in physiotherapy, and helped with some other physios as well, and it worked out really well. But the emotional challenge of getting through something that I didn't know why it had come about, there was no warning signs, and learning to trust my body again to push hard in those sessions, that was the really hard thing that I feel like I overcame. And I do feel like I've learned lessons from that already, because I've been able to employ that emotional control and stability, and how I overcome that in terms of I need to make decisions, set a rehab plan, and then go forward. And I've already had to use it many times since March last year. So yeah, I think that was definitely something I overcame and have learned from. But obviously before that I've had some significant injuries that I often use as a reminder that you don't always get to choose what the day will unfold like. And I think it grounds me a little bit in terms of like that sort of daily gratitude for being able to push myself. Yeah, so I came into the sport as an adult, triathlon in, I don't know, 2015, 2016, and I started doing the Olympic distance, that standard distance that you do in the age group, you know, in your country. But it wasn't until 2018 that I did a middle distance race, a 70.3, and I won that overall. And then 6 months later I raced again in a age group challenge race, and won by a long while, and got my pro license qualification. So I did my first pro race in 2019, qualified for the World Champs, came 16th, did my first Ironman. And then 2020 was obviously quite turbulent for everybody with the COVID pandemic. So 2021 was also a bit tainted by it, but I still got my qualification for Kona in 2020, and finally got to race Kona, or was going to be racing Kona in October 22, before I had a car took me out on a training ride, and I fractured my skull, back, ribs, hips. Brain injury. It was a pretty big deal that took me a while to physically recover from, as well as mentally. But I got another shot at Kona in 2023, which I then messed up. So this year, 2025, is my shot at winning Kona again. I think as an athlete, again, as a human, anyone, some people are driven by sort of tangible things and some people are driven by something else or less driven, and that's equally okay. And I think I am driven by two things, the sort of attitude in life, as in I want to enjoy and feel satisfied and give as much as I can to everybody around me every day, but at the same time I want to better myself to be able to win a World Championship title in the IRONMAN triathlon. So the goals are, I guess, a bit, similar but not, identical. And me and my husband Mark, it feels like we're doing this sort of venture together. So I think my goals are to give back to everybody who's supported me so far, to keep, I hope, inspiring everybody who's trying to also better themselves in the same way or in a different way. And then for myself physically, I think it's about keeping my commitment to the improvements that I've made. So keep working on the rehab that I need to do to make sure that my injuries don't get the better of me. There is still some residual stuff that I have to keep working on, like with my back. And I think I've also decided, this is I guess the answer that people want to know in triathlon, I've decided to work a bit harder on my bike. So I guess that's become a bit of a a bit of a focus. Is swimming will remain the same, consistent, really happy with where that's going, it just keeps improving. But the bike I'm putting a real effort into. I've changed coaches and I've changed sort of loading perhaps bias towards the bike even more, and we'll see. I have been working with Raw Endurance for nearly a year, and I think the biggest thing for me is, it's been sort of fundamental, I think, to all of last year, like fueling properly through my crazy training and racing schedule. And I think the biggest part is making sure that I've got like that access and ease of taking in enough carbohydrate during sessions, and I don't think I was doing that before at all. And even this year now I'm upping it again. So the biggest part of it is that confidence in a product that I know I can take 3 times a day, hundreds of grams a day of the same product, and I feel great on it. And I can now keep pushing that limit as well, which for performance is massive. I will, talking about the day's training, I will make sure that my drink bottle in swimming, I'll have at least 30 grams in my 500 ml bottle. And that's just a sort of token amount. It might be 50. It depends on my mood. I'll put some carbohydrate in my swim because I don't want to deplete, especially as the first session of the day. Then during the bike, I'll make sure one bottle's I've got nearly 80 grams in. Get back, normal lunch. I also, when I'm in a hot climate, I'll use the replenish just to make sure I'm topping up, because when I'm out, I don't often get as much electrolyte in as I need. So I'm using that product to sort of top back up. And sometimes I'll be good and use it straight away, and sometimes I'll sort of use it as an afternoon addition to my snack or whatever I'm having later in the day. And then the run, if it's high intensity or if it's static or if I've got someone to come with me, I'll take more energy fuel as well. For me, it's a sort of finding the right balance of life and triathlon. I do believe that staying on top of what makes you feel good in terms of your strength work or rehab or prehab or any conditioning work, whether it's mobility, whether it's just meditation, whatever it is, I think if you stay on top of what makes you feel good, that in turn physically relaxes your nervous system to a point where you can really attack the training properly without as much concerns over overdoing it. So for me, that's very loose, and it fluctuates of how much strength work, how much mobility work, how much conditioning. If I was to give one piece of advice to an aspiring endurance athlete, I think it would be to have fun. It's a bit of a cringe one, but I think to enjoy the sport first, not get carried away with the tiny details of I must do 3 by 5 minutes at X heart rate and X power on the bike or this pace on the run. I think it would be just enjoy. And to be honest, my little brother is doing a triathlon for the first time this year, and it's all about just swim 3 times a week, go ride your bike and enjoy it. You can do some intervals on the indoor trainer, but enjoy cycling and try and be as consistent as you can before you try and optimize everything.